the beginning of my career in banking at the time, I read this book by Michael Lewis, Liar's Poker. So if you've not read it, I highly encourage it. It gives you a very good insight into the lifestyle of bankers and all that. And of course, being a young, impressionable, and naive person, I wanted that sort of lifestyle. And then after several years of fairly good wine, wager, wheels, watches, whiskey, I came to this point where I started to question, was that all there is to my life? And that was also perhaps towards the end of my career. I read another book by Michael Lewis called Flash Boys. And one of the interesting stories that Michael Lewis wrote in that book was how a bunch of investors spend hundreds of millions of dollars to dig a hole through the mountains so that they can lay an optic fiber cable such that they can save approximately 3 milliseconds, which is 3/1000th of a second. Yeah. And the reason why they do that is because so that the trades can get faster to the other market, and then they can jump ahead of some other orders. Just spending hundreds of millions of dollars to lay a fiber optic cable. And that completely blew my mind away on several fronts. First of all, it's like, wow, has we as a society really just gone down to spending money to make even more money to cut through a mountain to lay a fiber optic cable? But also at that time, that made me think about the reason for me to exist, because I started to see more and more traders getting laid off because you can't trade faster than a machine. The machine is always going to be faster than you. And it got me thinking about my own job. Whether do I have a runway, So I thought about it and I said, quite frankly, if I'm honest with myself, I don't. Because, all it takes is just one analyst to be able to look at various indicators and data points and then tell the machine what to look for, and the AI will do the number crunching. So, my job was at risk. So that was one of the reasons why I told myself, okay, since you're quite tired of banking anyway, and your job is at risk, and it's perhaps time to look at something else. Really, my moment of epiphany was a fairly nondescript morning at about 7 a.m. I was in the office earlier than everybody else. And this auntie came in and she started wiping the tables. And so I struck a conversation with her. And then she asked her, how was your job? And she said, oh, it's a very nice job. I work in an environment that's air conditioned. It's not very strenuous. I'm very lucky to have this job. Then I asked her, okay, so auntie, are you well paid for this job? And she said, yeah, not too bad. I get, about $1,300, per month as a salary. And that was my moment of epiphany. Because as a banker, and a fairly senior one at the point in time, I had 28 days of annual leave. And I quickly did my math and I realized that even if I took all my leave in 1 month, sat on my bum the entire month and do nothing at all, just playing video games, I will still be paid more than this auntie than what she makes in 2 years. So something was seriously wrong with the system, and I couldn't live with that. So I said, my life has to be perhaps made more meaningful, more than just in the material sense, which is why I decided to step out and do something entirely different. So that's my own personal story as to why I decided to make the jump.